And now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
So, folks, it's all about giving. When we have a talent in life, do we give it? You know, God gives us certain talents. What do we do with our talents? Some of us don't share them. Some of us do share them. Today, we have a gentleman was born and raised in the greater Hazleton area. His name is Dr. Thomas Kaschak. Thomas has an interesting story. He was gifted. God gave him a great talent. He is now a podiatrist. But what did he do with his talent? We're going to talk. You're going to find this show very interesting, folks, about people who give. Here's a guy who gives. I know he doesn't want me to brag too much about him, but he does a great job. I want to welcome on the show. Tom, thanks for coming on the Sam Lesante.
It's my pleasure, Sammy. Thank you for having me.
Well, we talk about giving, okay? And so before we show this clip, the project that you're involved with is called the Vietnam Memorial Project.
Vietnam Medical Project.
I'm sorry, Vietnam Medical Project. I'm sorry. The project itself, okay, and how you got involved with it, we'll talk about after we show this clip. But tell me about yourself a little bit.
Well, as you said, I was born and raised in Hazleton, and when I turned 25, after graduating from Wilkes, I did some graduate work there. I moved to California for medical school, and after 4 years there, a few years in Detroit where I did my surgical residency, and then moved back to California. Initially, I was with the VA hospital in Stanford as an assistant resident director, San Jose Medical Group, and currently I'm with Kaiser Permanente. And it offered me some great opportunities to develop my skills, and as you said, I've been very fortunate to be able to take those some other places, as we'll talk about.
Well, the project itself is amazing, and when the viewers see this, the clip, and then we talk about what's happening and what you've done, how did you get involved with this Vietnam Medical Project?
It was an opportunity that came up again. It was related to my working with the VA Stanford residency program. A former resident had an office manager, Linda Miller, who had a brother who was killed during the war, and it was coming up on the 25th anniversary. This was 1997. And she decided to go and have a memorial service there. They never really found his body. Pat Code, the former resident, thought maybe he could do something there. He found out about an organization called East Meets West. They hooked him up with the Da Nang Orthopedic and Rehabilitation Center, and he had a wonderful experience there. He was invited back, but he thought it would be a great place for residents to go. But they needed an attending, and I thought, wow, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. When would I ever do this again? I think a lot had to do with the intrigue growing up during the Vietnam War and all that went around with that and how that molded us. I thought, great, let's go. And so I went, and it was just an incredible experience. And well,
so let's the video we're going to see, folks, is taken. It was 2012, and we'll come back. But you'll get a better flavor of what I'm talking about when we're talking about giving of our talents. So, Sam, you want to run this clip?
Morning. How are you?
It's a story of sort of a regular guy going out to a place and seeing a lot of unfortunate people and deciding that he wants to do something about it.
The first trip in 1998. Unfortunately, I was very much unprepared for what I was going to see. The very first patient who came in that first day walked in on his hands and feet. The next patient was carried in by his mother. We did a lot of surgery that year, mostly on a lot of these children, but some of them that we couldn't do anything on. I let them know that I was going to get other people who might be able to be more helpful the following year. It became then a mission for me to go back with people who could offer a little more than I was able to. And that led to the development of the Vietnam Medical Project. Okay, let's get this all loaded up here.
Tom has put everything into this project. By everything, I mean he pays his own way. He hustles up medical devices, instruments, medications that he piles into boxes and pays the shipping himself to get it over there.
A physician is an exceptional one. First of all, he's a very respected individual by his colleagues.
Is this where you feel the pain?
Yes.
He's a very good, caring physician to his patients. But more importantly, when you share your time, your talent, your touch, which is the heart, and your treasure, then you become an exceptional physician. And Tom does have those attributes.
I would imagine that there are at least 150 children who would be crippled and not walking had Tom not been there.
So you talk about helping people out and talents. We're very proud to have Tom Kaschak from the greater Hazleton area. But Tom, you know, people are people no matter what color, what nationality, no matter what it is. And, you know, I opened the show about talents. You know, sometimes people have these great talents. And I think God gives you a talent for one reason, to share it. You know, I think in the gospel it talks about where a person was given 5 talents and a person was given 3 and was person given 1. This one for 5 went out and made another 5. And I think it's so good in life when people, not only for the money part of it, okay, but also the talents. So how do you get involved with that?
I think the wonderful thing about going to Vietnam every year is many of us get into medicine hoping to help people. And the problem in our country is we have the medicine, but then there's the business of medicine, the legalities of medicine. And I take my own practice into account. It's a very busy practice, but most of my day is with the charting, with things of that nature, where in Vietnam it's pure medicine. We see the patient, we do what has to be done, and that's what we got into this for. So it's a kind of a cleansing experience for me, and a way to, I guess, be thankful for the talents that I've been blessed with. And I'm not saying I'm a great surgeon. I like to think I'm good, but at least I could bring some people there who are very good. And it's the other things that the other connections we make, the opportunities we provide, that I think were the best, or my best accomplishments over there. A young physician, Do Van Tan, who was a resident the second year I went, and he just took the ball and ran with it. We provided opportunities for him, and now he's one of the best orthopedic surgeons in Vietnam. It's just been great.
So you've taken your talent and you've been going there since 1998, correct? Yes. Folks, I'm talking to Dr. Thomas Kaschak. Okay, Tom is a podiatrist, and the Vietnam Medical Project, which is interesting, fabulous to be able to help these young children out. I know a very good friend of mine, Dr. Frank Bucci, who you know in northeastern Pennsylvania, world-renowned eye surgeon. He also has been doing wonderful work in Peru, giving eyesight to the young people and to grandparents who are able to see their children for the first time. We take it for granted here in the United States. We come back, we're going to show you a little bit more interesting stories about what happened when Tom was there in Vietnam and some of the cases he worked on. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, 24/7, you can watch any of our shows on ssptv.com all over the world. Folks, I'm getting comments from people who are in Afghanistan, some of our troops out there watching our Sam Lesante Show, the girls, and all of the shows we produce here in Hazleton on ssptv.com. Also, my email, sam@ssptv.com. My guest today, folks, Dr. Tom Kaschak. Tom is a podiatrist, now living in Fresno, California. But he's bringing his talents to Vietnam every year and bringing new innovations of medicine as far as podiatry is concerned. So, Tom, in Vietnam, when you go there, there are interesting cases that you're working on. We have some clips or some pictures that we have, and so while we show these pictures, why don't you tell the story as to what was involved with these particular things? So, Sammy, if you want to run the first picture.
This was my very first trip there, and we were evaluating, our first day in clinic, evaluating the children for what we could possibly do, and you could see the deformities of their lower legs. This is a very devastating type of deformity, which unfortunately leads to fractures which have difficult time healing and often lead to amputation. Well, of course, that first year, I was quite unprepared, not only the talent to be able to treat this, but the equipment we would need. So we made a pledge to the father who brought these two kids. It took him 2 days. They were on the back of his bicycle. He came from a village way up in the highlands in Vietnam to Da Nang, where we work. And I apologized and told him, please, let's have you come back next year. We'll get in touch with you. The sad thing was, as he left, got on the bike with the kids, our interpreter said, we should give them some money for bus. So we ran out after them, but unfortunately they got lost in the crowds, and unfortunately we never did see them again. But they were two sweet little girls. They were about 11 years old. They look a lot younger. This young girl, she, you can't see she has a clubfoot deformity, both feet actually pointed backwards. And that first trip there, I had fixed her left foot, and there you can see it. We were able to fix her left foot, and it's difficult to do both at the same time with this big of a surgery. And the plan was for me to come back the next year to fix the plan was in 3 months for the other foot to be done by the staff physicians, but she waited until the next year for me to fix the other foot. But if you look at the next slide, a few days, actually the day after surgery, these were the accommodations they had at the time. You see she looks tearful and in pain, and I asked the interpreter, is she hurting? And she said no, she's crying because she's so happy that she sees her foot pointed forward. So it's very touching moments like that that just bring us back year after year.
When you go to Vietnam,
Yes.
okay, how many of these cases do you see?
We typically we get there, our first day is a Monday in clinic, and we'll go through about 60 patients. And from that, we're there doing surgery for about 2 weeks, 6 days a week. We will generate maybe about 30 to 40 surgeries during that period of time. You'll see some slides later on what the accommodations are in surgery. The old, what I call the garage that we worked at, had 2 tables side by side.
So when you decided to go in 1998, okay, yes. did you know what you were going to do when you went there?
No. I went thinking a typical podiatric surgical practice like we would see in the United States, bunions and things of that nature, and it was a totally different world. Things that were well beyond our ability, more not so much surgically, but equipment-wise and so on. Because a lot of these things you need special types of power equipment, saws and so forth, to be able to make the bone cuts you need and fixation devices, screws and plates and so on. We didn't have any of those. And that was my thing to do the following year.
So the challenge you faced the first year
Yes.
was amazing. I mean, I was seeing what you saw. Okay.
Yeah, and it was almost, I had it in my mind that, there's no reason for me to go back, because what could I do? It's just too much. And but over the course of the year, it just kind of stuck with me, and I figured I had to go back.
So we're talking about giving of our talents. Okay, there's so many people that are blessed with talents, and some people are greedy and they don't share their talents, okay? It wasn't a matter of money, or it wasn't a matter of prestige on your part, okay? But it was a matter of you giving, okay? Now, you were born and raised in the greater Hazleton area.
In Hazleton, yeah.
How important was it? How important was your family involved in developing you to be the kind of person that you were?
Well, I come from a very staunch Catholic family, and I think the values in life that I was taught from both sides of the family, as they say here, the Kaschak side, the Galicchio side, hardworking, and honest. And I think it's hard to grow up not knowing anything different, and that stays with you. So I've been very blessed. I've been very blessed. Unfortunately, most of my family is gone now. We lost my mother at an early age, and she never was able to see the fruits of her hard work helping me get through medical school and so on. But my dad, who was a little quiet about his, he appreciated what I did, but when he saw the videos and some things like that, it brought him to tears, which, you know, he just said he was proud of me, and you know, that is something. That's something.
Well, I mentioned that because people just don't get things like this, okay? It's a matter of growing up and having the values that you have. And here again, I don't care what religion, the point is, I always say is practice your religion and get involved with your families, okay? It's unfortunate today sometimes, Tom, where you see the families, they don't want to sit down and have dinners anymore. They don't get together because they're too busy doing everything, either on the phone and it's sucking from our society, I think, because we should be developing more people like you to be able to go out and do your talents, okay? So, and I wanted to just bring that because there's a human side as well. It's not, I want the glory, I want the money, etc. You went in 1998, you didn't have any banners, you know, headlines, etc. And God bless those Vietnam vets. I mean, if anyone got a raw deal in life, these people did, and God bless them. They're great people. When you went, so when you were going there, the second year, what happened in the second year? And we're going to show some the 2012, but what happened the second year?
The second year, and I credit three people for allowing this to go on. First, my wife, Sissy. She joined me the second year. She couldn't make the whole trip, but
She an RN?
No. She came, and in fact, a lot of the photos that you've seen, she took a lot of the early video. And without her support and encouragement, I don't know if I'd be going back every year. And she comes with me every year.
Yeah, you're dedicated to it.
Yeah, she's really part of the team. And then Mr. Cook, the clinic director, his gracious invitation every year, and then the young Dr. Tan that I mentioned.
Is that your wife now?
Yeah, that's Sissy. This is a few years ago.
Yeah.
This is back in the days of film photography. She would take pictures and then bring them to a place around the corner to be developed, and then hand the pictures out. And here's one of those sessions. Many of these people have never seen themselves in a photograph.
Is that right?
And they were just thrilled to be getting these pictures. So she's a big hit over there. They really enjoyed her. Yeah.
Now, are some of those the patients that you had?
Yeah, you see the one little guy being held in the front
Yeah.
with the cast on. He was another clubfoot type of a clubfoot patient that we had corrected, and he did quite well. But these are mostly parents and so forth.
What kind of, I know the answer to this, but what kind of response do you get? It could be, it has to be unimaginable when they see their daughter, their son, or them.
It's just incredible. I tell the story. The most I've ever gotten paid to do anything. It was my first year, and Vietnam is hot and humid, and I got an appreciation for what our poor vets had to deal with. But I was talking to a father after we did a surgery. I just made a comment about how hot it was. I could go for a cold soda. And somehow that was translated to this gentleman. So the day went on. The end of the day, I'm leaving the hospital, and this guy is running towards me with this wet thing of newspaper. And he opens it up and opens up this bamboo thing, and inside was a cold can of Coke.
Oh.
And just, thinking that was probably a day's salary for this guy.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah.
So it was one of the, that really is one of the things that defines how they appreciate what we do.
So folks, you talk about giving of your talents. Dr. Tom Kaschak certainly is giving his talents. We come back, we have some more interesting stories about what happened when he was in Vietnam. The project is called the Vietnam Medical Project, and we have a website that we'll put up, and you could learn a little bit more about it. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, it's about giving, helping people out no matter where they are in the country. My guest today is Dr. Tom Kaschak, a podiatrist, who has been going to Vietnam since 1998, helping people. Continuing on with some of the interesting stories, okay, we have some other pictures here. Maybe you can explain what we're looking at. Sammy, if you want to put them up.
Again, one of our bright accomplishments, this was built in 2009. The government was actually going to close the center, and the years before, the clinic director was inviting me in Hanoi to meet with very high-level government officials to give our story and so on. And what I didn't realize, he was using that kind of as to help influence keeping the place open. Well, not only did they do that, but they built a new hospital. Here's the inside of the hospital. As I was saying before, the old place had 2 tables side by side with one anesthesiologist going back and forth, and I thought, well, with the new hospital, it'll be great. We'll have our own operating rooms, but here you see 2 tables side by side, but we do have 2 anesthesiologists and a wonderful, wonderful dedicated staff. It's the interesting thing about the building. I was in surgery, and I was called out. The clinic director wanted to meet with me. And there was a contractor there, and it was this big meeting. What color should we paint the building? So Sissy was out on a motorbike. I got her by cell phone, brought her over. So she has the honor of choosing the colors for the hospital. Yes.
Do we have any more pictures, Sammy, that we could show, that Dr. Kaschak could share with us?
This, yeah, just to show the stoicism of the, here's 2 little kids. This little girl, that's Buxy C, Dr. C, starting an IV, and this little girl, about 8-9 years old, just being there and being okay. And there's that other one, the next one, to get the IV afterwards. But if you get the next picture, that precious look she sees as the needle goes in. This is there's 3 beds there in the pre-op area, and there'll sometimes be 4 or 5 people on the beds. In between cases, we're seeing other patients coming in. So HIPAA does not, that's not enforced in Vietnam.
You just do medicine. Oh,
yeah, and this is, I think, one of the most ingenious things. Wheelchairs. They don't have wheelchairs, so they get some bicycle tires and get a plastic chair, put it together, and these things work great. I sat in those, and they're actually quite comfortable and work wonderfully. So they're very ingenious in the things that they do over there.
When you talk about how blessed we are in our country, blessed with not only the talents of great people like you and doctors, but the modern medicine we have, it's just incredible. And then you go to these places and you say, wow, how could it be? And, just like I said, Dr. Bucci bringing his talents to Peru and providing eyesight for people, thousands of people in the last couple of years, and you going to Vietnam since 1998, providing your talents. And you know what? You're doing it all on your own expense, So it's not a matter of glory, it's a matter of what you give.
It's been a life-fulfilling experience, and fortunately, Sissy, she enjoys it just as much. So when we come back, our whole thing is thinking, okay, next year. And
How
again,
long do you stay when you go there?
we're there now. We go, from when we leave till we get back is about 18 days, and that gives us enough time to really do quite a bit of surgery, and we'll see quite a few patients. But now it's expanded to the point where I have residents and attendings going all year long. So other people go during the year, and we've expanded into 2 other hospitals there.
That's fabulous. Well, it's very interesting. I know my wife Debbie has the greatest praise for you and your family.
Appreciate that.
She's always been a strong supporter. She's an RN and has
Yes,
her own
yes,
shows
yeah.
here. But it's very, very nice to meet people like you, and I wish you the best.
Well, thank you so much.
And it's so nice that Sissy, and you have 2 grandchildren, right?
2, yeah,
A daughter
yeah,
and 2 grandchildren.
yeah. Gabriel and Chris, we call him Patchy. They're 2 wonderful little boys.
Well, take my advice. They're going to keep you young.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They're
Well, I
gonna
keep
keep
saying
you
I
up.
don't know if they're making me old or keeping me young. Hopefully the latter.
They're keeping you young.
Yeah.
Well, Thomas, thanks for coming on the show.
It's
okay?
been my pleasure.
I
Thank
wish
you for
the
having
best.
me.
Folks, his name is Dr. Tom Kaschak. The project is called the Vietnam Medical Project. The website's up. You can learn a lot more about it. It's an interesting thing. We talk about giving things. If you remember when I interviewed Bishop Bambara, we talked about giving, and said, why do we have to give to God? Well, the expression is that I remember reading, you stop giving to God when He stops giving to you. And sometimes God gives us so many talents, we just don't share them the way we should. It's all about giving, folks. It's about giving. Don't worry about what you're receiving. Worry about what you're giving. We'll see you next time. Next time,